News 3 starts right now.
All right, welcome back to our special edition of News 3 Live at 7. We have experts from various industries who are addressing your questions. This is your broadcast. We're taking your questions to the experts about coronavirus and how to get our way through this thing. Joining us now is Dr. Josh Luke, former CEO of what is now Encompass Health in Las Vegas. Let's get right to the questions. We only have about 4 minutes here. Jeanette from Henderson asks, how long is someone sick when they get the coronavirus?
Yeah, that's a great question, Reed, and the answers are still left out there because so many people never even show symptoms. But normally, what I'm being told, because I am a PhD, not an MD, but when I check in with the MDs, what I learn is anywhere from 7 to 20 days is kind of the normal. But again, so few people, the people that are getting tested up to date are people that they pretty much already know have it, right? Because the testing's been short. So the true answer to those who haven't been tested, in addition, we don't know, but I would assume 7 to 20 days is the norm.
7 to 20 days is a lot of days to feel sick if they do feel those symptoms. Shauna from Centennial Hills wants to know, does ibuprofen affect coronavirus symptoms and recovery time?
That is such a good question because the answer I've been told is yes. To date, the research has shown, and there's some videos on YouTube and others about this. They call them NSAID drugs. They're non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. They're also sometimes referred to as non-opioid analgesics, and Advil and ibuprofen fall into that category. So one of the first things doctors are telling you that they do seem to know about fighting COVID-19 is to avoid the ibuprofen, the NSAIDs, and go with Tylenol if at all possible.
So avoid ibuprofen, go with Tylenol, which also, by the way, helps with a sore back and legs after hiking and hiking and hiking to try to kill the time. I know from personal experience. All right, so Carol in Las Vegas sent us an email asking, can you get COVID-19 twice? Big question.
Yeah, hey, and it's a great question because to date the research is contradictory, and it's interesting because most of the doctors say, hey, this is physically impossible to get this twice, but then there's all of these people that are having reoccurrences. So initially they were saying, hey, these were probably just false positive tests after they'd been diagnosed positive for a couple weeks. But now in South Korea and in China, it's starting to come up more. So they're still learning. I would say continue to do your research on that. But it's clear that some people aren't out of the woods even 30 days later, whether it's a reoccurrence or a false positive. They're still kind of keeping their finger on the pulse of that argument.
And I'm going to put my finger on the pause button here and just let our viewers know there's research, there's scientific evidence, and then there's everything else on the internet. And when you get on the internet, it's not always a guarantee that you're going to be getting clear information. So we have to be very careful that we're listening to vetted sources. Next question from our viewer, when is Nevada expecting the peak? Have we gotten to the peak? Are we supposed to be expecting it? And if not, how are local hospitals preparing for the peak?
Hey, that's a couple questions in one, but the good news is I'm in Southern California. I've lived in Nevada twice, but I think both California and Nevada nip this in the bud pretty quickly. That doesn't mean we can relent or we can give up. We need to stay quarantined until the end of April at the earliest. Hopefully they open society back up. It looks as if Nevada may have already peaked, and if California is in the next week or so. Hopefully, you guys have great hospitals in Southern Nevada. When I worked out there for a year or so, I got to work alongside some of the best in the nation. I mean, Carla Perez over UHS has been out there for, I think, almost 20 years. Bob Freimuller out at Summerlin Hospital. You got Mason over at UMC. You guys are so well prepared if pandemic recurs or if it really became a bigger problem out there. So I'm really confident in the ability of the Southern Nevada hospitals to handle any pandemic. And I know the recent stats I saw in Nevada are that even going into Easter weekend, that perhaps you had enough ICU beds, you had enough vents, that there wasn't going to be the concern that there initially was going to be. So I'm really encouraged by that.
And we are encouraged as well. Please tell all of those who you talk to in the medical profession, we love them, we appreciate them, and maybe even look up our Air Force Thunderbirds who flew over all of our hospitals to give hope. We thank you for that. And we want to just let all of you know we're here. Keep sending your questions, Corona questions at news3lv.com. Look up, hope up.